Hey y'all, hey. Hey Diana. Hey Brittany. All right, so today is Monday. Credit questions Monday. I had posted like a box on Instagram, so if people had any credit related questions, they could ask them and then I would answer them on live. And I'm trying to like stick with a topic each time I go live. So if you guys do not know me, my name is Irene Day. I am a credit specialist hailing out of Cleveland, Ohio. I own a credit repair company called Hannah Financial. We assist people with removing inaccurately reported and unverifiable items from their credit reports so they can, you know, get into a new house, get into a new car, all that great stuff. So today's topic is bankruptcy versus credit repair. A couple of questions that I got today on the Q&A was really pertaining to like bankruptcy versus going through the credit repair process. And the most important thing that you guys need to know is that bankruptcy and credit repair are two completely different things. They don't necessarily, like, you don't have to do one in order to do the other, and doing one instead of the other, like you can't do one in lieu of doing the other one. So what bankruptcy is basically you file a petition with the courts. You tell them like, hey, I can't afford to pay all this debt that I have. And the courts will either accept your bankruptcy or not. So when you go through the bankruptcy process, any accounts that are included in bankruptcy, you are no longer legally liable for. So say you put some credit cards in there, you had a repossession that you put in there, if they're included in bankruptcy, legally, whoever owned like that card that got repossessed or whatever credit card was included in the bankruptcy, they legally can't come after you. So they can't sue you, they can't garnish your wages, they can't do any of those things if those accounts are included in bankruptcy. However, when you file bankruptcy, those accounts that are included in bankruptcy are still on your credit reports. Yeah. So they're still on your credit report. So if you are trying to decide like, hey, do I want to go through bankruptcy or do I want to go through credit repair? If you are going through bankruptcy, you are most definitely going to need to go through credit repair. Everyone that goes through credit repair or like does the credit repair process does not necessarily need to file bankruptcy, but 99% of the people who go through the bankruptcy process need to go through the credit repair process. Because once you go through bankruptcy, the accounts that were included in the bankruptcy, they're still on your credit reports, right? So now I included 2 Capital One cards into a bankruptcy that I filed, right? Those 2 Capital One accounts are still on my credit reports, but now instead of it saying like charged off or whatever, the notes will say included in bankruptcy. So you would go through the credit repair process to try to get as many of the accounts and the bankruptcy, because once you file bankruptcy, that is the public record and that goes on your credit. You want to try to get as many of the accounts included in the bankruptcy and the bankruptcy itself removed from your credit reports after you go through bankruptcy. So when I say that like you can't do one in exchange for the other, it's because they are two completely separate things. Credit repair is the process of removing inaccurately reported and unverifiable items from your credit. Bankruptcy is like relieving yourself legally of those debts. So those are two completely different things. So if you are on the fence about what you need to do or like what you want to do, you need to just sit back and just really take a look at like how much debt do you have? Do you feel like, hey, I can't afford to pay this? Like, are your wages being garnished? If any of those things are happening, I would definitely look into bankruptcy. But you need to take into consideration, like, what are your future financial goals? So if you are trying to buy a house next year, you can't file for, or I wouldn't recommend filing for bankruptcy, because you can't get a mortgage until 2 years after your bankruptcy has been discharged with the courts. So if you know, like, hey, I plan on buckling down and buying a house at the end of next year, I would not file bankruptcy. If anything, I would start the credit repair process and try to settle as many of those debts as possible. You need credit repair more than ever if you bankrupt the debt. Yep. So is it okay to do both? Yes. If you do plan on doing both, do the bankruptcy first and then do credit repair. Because if you do credit repair first and then you file bankruptcy, you're going to be paying for credit repair again, because now you need to clean up the bankruptcy. So I had some questions that I wanted to answer. Let me start with the first one. Is there any way to restore your credit without filing for bankruptcy? Going through credit repair, I don't like to give blanket advice when it comes to credit, because what you will need to do to help your individual credit and what X, Y, and Z will need to do to help their individual credit are always going to be two completely different things. I be all in, like, the Facebook comments and stuff when I see people post about credit repair, and then you got people in the comments like, oh, well, pay your bills on time, or do this or do that. Like, that's not good credit advice to people who are looking for specific solutions to their specific situation. So is there any ways to restore your credit without filing for bankruptcy? Yes, going through the credit repair process. How would you know if you should file for bankruptcy? Usually people that file for bankruptcy are like financially over financially over their head. So if you feel like, hey, I just can't do it financially, then you would probably be a candidate for for bankruptcy. Next question. I want to repay a debt but want to pay creditors directly. Do I have to use collection agencies? So it depends on if that debt was written off or not. So just because a debt is sent to collections does not mean that the company wrote it off as a business loss. Usually when they write it off, like any debts, like any credit cards, we'll use credit cards for instance. If a company writes off a credit card, like sells it to a collection agency, or if a credit company sells sells a debt to a collection agency, they didn't necessarily write that off as a tax loss. A lot of people think, or I've seen a bunch of people say, hey, you don't have to pay collection agencies because once the company writes it off, like, it's no longer your debt. It is. So once a company actually does write off a debt, they're supposed to issue you a 1099. And now you're supposed to claim that amount of money that they wrote off as income. And the thing with tax documents, like, just like when you get issued W-2s or you get issued 1099s as an independent contractor, those forms also get issued to the IRS. And that's how the IRS does checks and balances. And that's why you just shouldn't play with your tax returns, because, like, a lot of people, and this happened to me actually, this past year was the first year it happened to me. I had somebody give me a fake W-2, and when I filed it, like, once I filed her tax return, her return was held up for like 4 months. Like, I think she just got her tax return like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it was because she had a fake W-2 and gave it to her tax preparer. And when the system went to go do checks and balances, you got a W-2 on here that isn't attached to your social security number, or that hasn't been submitted to you. And now the IRS is going to dig deeper. So whether you pay the original agency or not, in all honesty, if you want to settle debts, I would recommend settling it with the collection agency, because you can negotiate rates. So say you had a collection account, or say you had a charge off for $3,000. Somebody else bought that debt for pennies on the dollar. You want to settle the debt. Now you have leverage to settle that debt for less than what you originally occurred. So I personally recommend settling with collection agencies versus the original creditor. And you can also negotiate paper deletes. You can't negotiate paper deletes with original creditors. Next question. I want to buy a home in 18 months. What do I need to do to get an ideal mortgage? That's really individual specific. So like we just talked about, I don't like to give blanket advice when it comes to credit. It just depends on where you are right now, like how many positive accounts do you need to have. I know most lenders want you to have 3 to 5 open lines of credit in your credit profile. So a lot of people really get hung up on credit scores. I've seen people with 740 FICO scores get denied enough history, or they don't have enough accounts in their actual credit profiles. So that's why I always tell people, like, credit profile health is more important than credit score, especially being in the credit repair industry. Legally, no credit repair company can guarantee you score increases. So if somebody is saying, like, I can guarantee you a 700 score, I can guarantee you 200-point increase, run the other way. It is a CURL violation, which is a federal law and state law, that no credit repair company can guarantee you score increases. So next question. Can I use personal credit to get a business loan or do I have to have a DUNS number? You can definitely use your personal credit to get a business loan. A lot of people don't like to because they don't want to have like personal liability. But if you have personal credit, if you have good personal credit, I would definitely recommend you using your good personal credit to start building good business credit. Next question. What are the statute of limitations for old debt? For an example, an old Sprint bill from 2007. So the statute of limitations, if you guys don't know, the statute of limitations is basically how long can somebody sue you on a debt. So, and I'm in Ohio, our statute of limitations is 5 years. So this Sprint bill from 2007 would be outside of statute of limitations. So legally, it's not. They can try to collect on it, but they can't try to sue you for it. Trying to see if y'all had any questions on Facebook. Hey, everybody. Ooh. So yeah, I can't see my timer on Facebook. Did you guys have any more credit related questions for today? Oh, I'm officially launching my affiliate program on Friday. So if you guys are interested in becoming a Hannah Financial affiliate, like if you know, I know a lot of people who work in spaces where they come across a lot of people who need credit repair help. If you're one of those people and you want to become a Hannah Financial affiliate and get paid out for referrals, send me your email address and I will send you information about the affiliate program that I'm launching on Friday. Hey, LaShawn. All right, no questions? No questions? Or no more questions? My Facebook feed is doing something weird. Send email, yes. Yep, you guys, you can DM me on Instagram or you can message me on Facebook. All right, that's all I got. If you guys, if you're on Facebook and you found any information helpful that I gave you guys in this live tonight, make sure you share it. Share it. I'll be back on live probably in like 2 more days. I'm trying to stay get back consistent with my live schedule. If you guys want to schedule a credit clarity call, or if you know I just need to get my credit fixed, you guys can visit my website. It's hannahfinancial.com. On Instagram, the link is in my bio, and I will put the link in the comments on Facebook. All right, that's all I got. I'll see you guys in a few days. Don't forget, if you have any questions, same name on Facebook. Yep. And I'm smiling real big. I think it's the same profile picture too. Smiling real big. If you're not my friend, you'll probably be in the message request box. So if it takes a while or a second for me to like get to it, just bear with me. But yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you guys in a couple of days. If you have any more questions, drop them on a post or something on my profile and I'll answer them the next time I go live. Bye, y'all. that's my tip.